today's Home Pathshala. It will transform your dream into reality.
Good morning, my dear student. This is our question paper analysis series. This question paper is based on June 2025 of UGC and here. We have selected one of the toughest areas right now, based on Unit 9, research steps. Our first question is question number 59 in chi-square test. The degree of freedom in chi-square test, degree of freedom in chi-square test, degree of freedom for a 2 into 3 contingency table is equal to. They have given the 4 options. Step-by-step solution for chi-square test, contingency table. For chi-square test, the contingency table, the formula of degree of freedom. Two important thing in the case of the contingency table, formula of degree of freedom dx r minus rho. R means number of row, c means column. R minus 1 into c minus 1. So R has given 2 into 3, 2 means R, row, and 3 means column. 3 means column. So 2 minus 1 into 2 minus 1. 2. So 2 is the correct. Now, we have to understand what is chi-square test. What is chi-square test? The chi-square test, the test is a non-parametric statistical that check whether there is a significant difference observed and expected frequency. Significant difference observed and expected frequency. In simple words, it tells us whether the difference is real or just due to chance. This is a very important point in the chi-square test, the parametric statistical test, and there is a significant difference observed and expected. There, important information about the chi-square test. There are the different types of chi-square test. Number one type of chi-square test, test of independence, the contingency table, and whether and number one goodness of fit. Number one, goodness of fit. Number two, test of independence. Goodness of fit, check the observed data, fit given the distribution. For example, is a die fair with a goodness of fit. Test of independence, the contingency table, check whether two variables are independent or related to independent. Example, gender versus total. This is a formula of chi-square test. Chi-square formula, summation of O minus E whole square. O means observed frequency, E means expected. There are some assumption of chi-square test. Data should be frequency count. Observation must be independent. This is very important. Must be independent. Expected frequency should be greater than equal to 5. And sample size should be sufficiently large. These are the assumptions. What are the steps to perform the chi-square test? The case of state hypothesis, H0, no difference. H1, number H0 is the null hypothesis, no differences in variables independent. H1 is a significant difference. And variable are related. Calculate the expected frequency E. E means row total into column total by time. Apply chi-square formula. Find the degree of freedom R minus 1, C minus 1. Compare with the table value and calculate. Insert the step. What are the advantages? Simple to calculate. No need normal distribution and widely useful research. What are the disadvantages? Not suitable for the small sample. This is very important. In the case of small sample, it is not suitable. And sensitive to expected values and takes association, not correlation. So these are the questions based on types. Next question. Our next question is based on research and statistics. This question is based on non-parametric statistics. Which of the following tests is used to examine whether two distribution of the set? The question is whether the two distribution of the set. They have given the four options: Kolmogorov mean of sample test, sign test, man-meeting test, regression analysis. Kolmogorov's mean of sample test. Now, question is what is Kolmogorov's mean of two sample? Kolmogorov mean of two sample test is specifically designed compared to sample. Specifically designed to compare to sample distribution and determine whether they come from the same population, means same distribution. The main thing specifically designed to compare to sample distribution, compared to sample distribution. So very important. We compare the entire cumulative distribution to pairs. CPM, cumulative distribution to pairs of pairs. It is a non-parametric test. No assumption of norm. It detects the difference in shape, spread, and location of distribution. Therefore, the most appropriate test for checking whether the two distributions are identical or same in the case of Kolmogorov's mean of two samples. Quick memory trick. KS gives you compare shape. Kolmogorov's mean of compare full distributions. Second, the other tests. Try to understand the other tests: sign test, man-meeting test, and regression analysis. What is sign test? The sign test aims to examine difference in pair data. Pair data means related data. Each stage does not compare the full distribution. Man-meeting test compare the center tendencies, specifically mean of the two independent. It does not determine whether the entire distribution are the same, and only whether one tend to have a large value. Regression analysis leads to relationship between variables, not to compare distribution. In the case of regression analysis, study the relationship between variables, not compare distribution. This question is based on frequency distribution. The frequency distribution under the section of ungrouped data, group data, related distribution, and cumulative distribution we have to cover. In the case of probability distribution, we have to cover the discrete distribution and continuous distribution. Continuous distribution to normal distribution. Another is the set-based distribution. These are the important topics of under the section of the distribution. So this question is based on the non-parametric steps. Now we move on our next question. Our next question is based on the matching. The chi-square test. First question we have solved already, chi-square test. The chi-square test, conjoint analysis, analysis of variance and factor. We have to match. The chi-square test is related with the 4. Describe the discrepancy between the theory and observation. Discrepancy between the theory and observation. The chi-square test is to compare observed versus expected frequency. It checks whether the significant difference between theory and observation. So match 4. Describe the discrepancy between theory and observation. Correct. Next, conjoint analysis used in marketing research. Determine how consumer value different attributes of product. So match 1. Match 1 determine the relative importance of consumer attached to attribute, attached to attribute. So, conjoint analysis should be match 1. Conjoint analysis should be match 1. Next, analysis of variance. Analysis of variance is to compare the mean of 2 or more. So, to examine the difference among mean of 2 or more population, we use the analysis of variance. Analysis of variance is to examine the difference among mean of two or more population. Next, factor analysis is for data reduction and summarization. Factor analysis is for data reduction. The data reduction and summarization is the factor analysis. So, this is the correct option. Now we move on to the next question. This is based on the this question is based on discriminant analysis. Which one of the discriminant, which of the following is true in the case of discriminant analysis? So first of all, we have to understand what is discriminant analysis. The discriminant analysis of statistical technique. This is the statistical technique. Analysis of statistical technique needs to classify observation into predefined group. Group should be classified. The observation is a predefined group. It is similar to regression, but the key difference lies in the type of dependent variable. Discriminant analysis is the classification observation into predefined group. Next, evaluation the option. Independent variables are categorical. This is the wrong. In the case of discriminant variable, the dependent variable is the categorical. That's why option number 2 is the right. Dependent variable are matrix. This is wrong statement. This applies to regression. In the case of regression, dependent variables are matrix. And both independent and dependent variables are matrix. This is the wrong because only independent variables are matrix. Only independent. That's why you have to study the comparative study between regression and discriminant analysis. So what is regression analysis? Regression analysis in the case of purpose, regression analysis predict the numerical value. In the case of the discriminant analysis, main purpose the classify into group. Regression analysis in the case of dependent variable, regression analysis is the matrix, means continuous. And discriminant variable is the categorical or group. In the case of independent variable, regression analysis matrix mostly. Discriminant analysis in the case of independent matrix in case of required. So it's a very important point. That is the case of dependent variable is categorical. In the case of discriminant analysis, it's a very important point. In the case of discriminant analysis, dependent variable is a category. Independent variable is matrix. Okay. Objective of the regression analysis is estimate the relationship between variables. Objective of discrimination analysis is assign observation to predefined classes. What is the output in case of regression analysis? Regression equation y equal to a plus bx. What is the output of discriminant analysis? In the case of discrimination analysis, the output is the discriminant function. In the example of regression analysis, predict income of age and education. And in case of discrimination analysis, classify the customer, buyers or non-buyers. The discrimination analysis main work with the categorical dependent variable and main work the classification. Technique used in this regression analysis of prediction and estimation. Discrimination analysis uses a classification. In the case of error, regression analysis, the residuals difference between actual and predicted value. And discrimination analysis, the misclassification error. So these are the important topic related to discriminant analysis and regression analysis. When we are going to solve the discriminant analysis, we have to understand the regression analysis paradigm. I try to compare this question. I try to give the detailed explanation because you can solve this kinds of question clearly. Next question. Next question. Move on the next question. This question is based on the hypothesis testing. Arrange the following step in sequence which are involved in hypothesis testing. They have given the A, B, C, D with a 5 statement. The correct explanation is number one, the correct explanation, correct sequence, correct order of hypothesis testing system. First of all, determine the sample size. Before doing anything, we must know about the sample size because it affects the test statistics and distribution. This is a very important point. The sample size is a very, very important point. Determine the sample size at first. Number two, choose the level of significance. Level of significance. So statement A, first statement B, second statement A. Level of significance level, generally we choose 0.05 or 0.01. Either 5% level of significance or 1% level of significance. Third, calculate the state statistics. State statistics means J takes type question like using the sample. Third, fourth step, compare probability with significance level. Compare probability with significance level. You find the p-value and compare it with the alpha in the significance level. Finally, make decision, reject or do not reject the null. So correct sequence from this question, correct sequence is B, A, B, B, C. Correct sequence is B, A, B, B, C. Correct sequence B, A, B, B, C. The correct sequence. Now it's a trick. Memory data collection. Second, alpha means what it means alpha significance level. Level of significance, calculate test statistics, final next value and final conclude. Conclude means reject null hypothesis or not. Next, we move on to our next question. This question is based on the skewness. Based on the skewness, the value of mean, median, and mode in distribution, skewness is present. Where skewness is present? The value of mean, median, or mode coincide. Number one. Number two, value when plotted given the normal bell-shaped figure. Number three, the sum positive deviation. Sum of positive deviation from the median. Sum of positive deviation from the median is not equal to the sum of negative deviation. Finally, quartiles are equidistant from the median. So these are our statement. Under this statement, we have to choose what is the correct statement. The case of detailed explanation, the skewness. At first, we have to understand what is skewness. The skewness measures the asymmetry of distribution, not symmetry. The case of asymmetry. In the case of symmetrical distribution, no skewness. Asymmetrical distribution with skewness is present. Skewness measures the asymmetry. So in the case of the dispersion of the data, statement 1, the mean equal to median equal to mode. This is the true perfectly symmetrical or normal distribution. There is no question of any skewness. No skewness is present. Statement 2, normal bell-shaped curve. A normal distribution is perfectly symmetrical. There is no question of no skewness. Number 3, some positive deviation. Skewness is related to the deviation. Sum of positive deviation from median and sum of negative deviation. Sum of negative deviation not equal. This is the question. This is the important area, not equal. So here skewness is present. In general, skew distribution value are not evenly spread. Value are not evenly spread. So deviation above and below median are unequal. This indicates the asymmetry skew. And number 4, the statement quartile equidistance from median equal to Q3 minus median equal to median minus Q1. This is the formula of quartile deviation. Okay. So option number 3. Option number 3 is the correct. The in distribution is expressed if the sum of positive deviation from the median is not equal to the sum of negative distribution. So move on to our next question. These are the important questions of June 2025 research and statistics. My dear student, I want to inform you, if you want to get the private guidance for this late engineering in tourism travel management, you can contact with me. You will get the clear understanding of the topic, previous question answer, and PDF note. And if you want to detail understanding all this area, you can touch with me. So these are the important analytical area of previous year question paper. So keep touch with this channel. If you have any queries, you can send the message to my WhatsApp. Thank you.